This is Investment Perspectives with Brad Kimes, daily live streaming interactive, featuring Mrs. Backup. Subscribe, hit the notification, smash the likes. Now, here's Backup Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Good morning. Welcome back to Investment Perspectives, everybody. I'm Brad Kimes. You can follow me on Twitter at Backup Bradley. The order of the day is, or the title of the video today is Fundamentals Rule the Day. Now, we can speculate till the cows come home, and I tell you what, we are not afraid to do that here. We certainly do it here to the nth degree, but the reality is fundamentals rule the day. We're going to take a look at a few things that, obviously it'll take some speculation, and a few things that just, are fundamentals about the blockchain crypto space. Let's go ahead and start to take a look at some of these things. First of all, Western Union is offering a $0 transfer fee when sending money directly to bank accounts in Brazil from now through June 30th, 2020. Well, this is interesting because, one, there's rumors, which this is speculation, right? But it's rumored that Western Union has made an offer to buy MoneyGram, which MoneyGram is partnered with Ripple, right? We know recently Brad Garlinghouse just went down to meet with central bank in Brazil, or banks, and that is quite interesting and timely that now Western Union is now charging no money for transfer fees for the rest of this month, basically, in Brazil. Does any of this have any connection? We don't know. This part is speculation, but, it appears that this is something we're going to want to keep an eye on to see how this develops, whether it develops into a true fundamental or not. Okay, let's move to the next piece because we're going to cover quite a wide span here today. AWS, shout out to James Rule XRP on this one. Really nice stuff here. And let's see. And let me get this open so we can take a look at it. Now, I think this is actually something that's been on Amazon Web Services for a minute because it breaks down all of the offerings of Ripple. And it's the Amazon Web Services, Amazon.com Partners, Success, and Ripple page. And what's interesting about this is that it still shows the XVIA, XRapid, XCurrent breakdown, and then RippleNet here. And I'm not going to read all of this to you. I just think it's extremely positive, fundamental that this is on Amazon Web Services site. And it does break down, obviously, like I said, the older three parts of the on-demand liquidity. So it does appear that it may need to be updated a little bit. Who knows? It may want it to be broken up like this. However, it does express through here through XRapid, as we all know, where it does use, and you have the ability to uniquely use a digital asset XRP, which is native to the XRP ledger for settlement. So that is really, really a great fundamental to me versus the speculation we are continuing to watch with some of the circumstantial things that we've seen to whether this develops into a true fundamental about blockchain and Ripple and DLT. All right, so let's keep moving here because the conversation gets even better. The Federal Reserve released a paper here, and this is actually the paper. I've read through most of it, just did an overview of it. The Central Bank Digital Currency Central Banking for All. I will put this PDF in the comment section below the video today as well, so you can feel free to look through this as I did. Let's take this short article here because it does a great job of summing it up here from CoinDesk. Central bank digital currencies might one day replace commercial banks. Oh, but that comes with risk. Oh yeah, I bet it does. According to new research from the Federal Reserve of Philadelphia. And in fact, in this article, if you're not able to get the PDF, it is right here at this link here. Central bank digital currency, central banking for all, investigated the implications of an account-based central bank digital currency, CBDC, focusing on its potential competition with the traditional maturity transformation role of commercial banks. I find this article to be interesting, and I think you will too. Introduction of digital currencies may justify a fundamental shift in the architecture of a financial system, a central bank open to all The paper was published on June 1 reads, questions posed by the research arm of the Fed, which were undertaken in collaboration with the universities of Pennsylvania and Chicago, examined the ramifications of the introduction of a CBDC and how the opening of central bank facilities might affect financial intermediation. Specifically, the questions were aimed at exploring the role of CBDCs play in giving consumers the possibility of holding a bank account with the central bank directly, in essence, replacing the role currently performed by commercial banks. I don't know if anybody else is seeing what's going on here, but it's basically the greediest people in the world saying, you know, we have the opportunity here to do a power grab. But should we? Because of the mitigating risk. Let's keep going. Maturity transformation refers to the practice of financial institutions of borrowing money on shorter time frames than they lend out. This is often done through deposits from savers by converting that finance into long-term borrowing, such as mortgages. It is the role of commercial banks to facilitate the needs of lenders and borrowers. The process can backfire, though, such as if there is a panic or a bank run where all savers attempt to withdraw money at once, or if money markets suddenly dry up due to lenders no longer providing short-term loans to one another. So literally, they're like, hey, should we do this? It could put commercial banks out of business long term, right? But wait a minute. Commercial banks absorb a lot of risk. Do we want to take that chance? It's kind of funny to see them, potentially pitting against themselves with the technology. Where do we go? How much do we take here? How much acreage do we take in this space because of the innovation? All right, the paper determined that a set of allocations achieved with private financial intermediation, commercial banks could also be achieved with a CBDC, provided competition is allowed with those commercial banks and depositors. Do not panic. However, the paper also determined an associated cost involved. Our equivalence result has a sinister counterpart. If the competition from commercial banks is impaired, for example, through some fiscal subsidization of central bank deposits, the central bank has to be careful in its choices to avoid creating havoc with the maturity transformation, according to the paper. In other words, if CBDCs did disrupt the role of commercial banks and allowed the borrowing of more money than is lent out, there's a concern central banks could harm the money markets. The paper also showed how the rigidity of central banks contracting investment banks deterred panic runs as such. If depositors started to exclusively deposit with the central bank, it could end up becoming a deposit monopolist, attracting deposits away from the commercial bank sector. This monopoly power eliminates the forces that induce the central bank from delivering the socially optimal amount of maturity transformation, the Fed paper says. Okay, so again, like I said, it's like, we see an opportunity with the technology and innovation to maybe do a power grab here. But you know what? Maybe we're best to let the commercial banks handle the risks of the lending, right? And the account holding. So this is interesting, right? Whether we see this develop to that length. I have to tell you, this is one of the things that may be corny to some people, but it's very, very exciting to me. And to add to what we just saw here from the paper from the Federal Reserve, let's take a look at this, because this is now the DTCC talking again, and we covered this a week or two ago, and I think the number was skewed in the former article that we covered. It was saying 4 quadrillion, but this says 2.15. I think this may be a little more accurate. I'm not going to read this whole article to you, so you can take a sigh of relief right there. But what I am going to say is that we know that the DTCC has been exploring since 2018 and actually had DLT in place since 2018 with the Whitney and Ion project. What I am going to do is quickly move down here to an area where Jennifer Pavey from the DTCC makes a few statements here, and then I'm going to read the section underneath and we'll be out of here. So the research indicates that digitalization may be a viable way to drive greater reduction of risk and costs for the industry, regardless of whether it is delivered via DLT or another technology or approach. We look forward to continuing our work around projects Ion and Whitney. Okay, now here just gives you the size of what they're doing in a day here. Jennifer Pavey, Project Ion is exploring how we can modernize the backbone of the U.S. capital markets infrastructure by identifying whether the digitalization of assets and the application of DLT can accelerate settlement and reduce cost risk for the industry. Given the scale and criticality of our services, we undertook a study in 2018 to determine whether DLT might be able to handle the transactional demands of our U.S. equities market. The study ultimately proved that DLT can support average daily trading volumes in the U.S. equity markets of more than 100 million trades per day. Now, that's since 2018. Now, they've known that and been running tests and getting all kinds of, numbers and studies and simulations. I mean, it's for 2 years at least. Specifically, DLT performs at levels necessary to process an entire day's volume based on trading activity during a peak time of day of 6,300 trades per second for 5 continuous hours, which equates to 115 million daily trades. While the results were encouraging, additional pressure testing will need to be done to ensure we can provide the same, if not better, level of service using the technology prior to any production use. So that sums that up. We did cover that the other day, but I think that is really encouraging to just drive home the narrative that they have had this in place for at least 2 years, and the simulations and data collection that's been going on, I bet you, is absolutely remarkable. Now, to add to all of that, let's take a look here, because there's wait a minute, maybe I got to go back to my, no, this is it. U.S. regulator seeks public input as it reviews crypto DLT activities in the banking sector. Now, you just saw us cover papers from the Fed. You just saw us cover the DTCC, Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, does over 2 quadrillion in settlement. And now this is the Office of the Comptroller of Currency, as which we know Brian Brooks from Coinbase is now going to be the head of. The OCC, Office Comptroller of Currency, oversees the entire banking system. He has made it very clear that he wants to see a nationalized version of regulations for crypto and DLT and blockchain. So this is exciting, because listen to what they're doing. The Office of Comptroller of Currency, which regulates banks in the U.S., is seeking feedback from the public on the digital activities of national banks and federal savings associations, which includes actions related to cryptocurrencies and digital assets. The OCC published 2 notices on Thursday: a notice of proposed rulemaking and advance notice of proposed rulemaking, which cover a range of topics related to its remit as a regulator of U.S. banks. It is the second of 2 notices that focuses on digital activities and hones in on the topic of crypto. In a statement published alongside the notices, the OCC said that the digital activities notice is a part of the agency's effort to support the evolution of federal banking system and its ability to meet the needs of the consumers, businesses, and communities it serves. The OCC also said that comments received on this ANPR may inform the development of specific policy proposals or future rulemaking. What types of activities related to cryptocurrencies or crypto assets are financial services companies or bank customers engaged? To what extent does customers' engagement in crypto-related activities impact banks and the banking industry? What are the barriers or obstacles, if any, to further adoption of crypto-related activities in banking industry? Are they specific activities that should be addressed in regulatory guidance, including regulation? How is the distributed ledger technology used or potentially used in banking activities? Identity verification, credit underwriting or monitoring, payments processing, trade finance, and records management. Are they specific matters on this topic that should be clarified in regulatory guidance, including regulations? Why are they asking these questions? Well, they're asking these questions because they're about to make a decision on it. That's why. Because they're getting ready to make some clarity, I believe, for the entire banking system. And they're asking the right questions, and I believe they've got the right guy in place. Other areas of inquiry focus on artificial intelligence, next generation payment systems, and the impact of the pandemic. The OCC has set a deadline of August 3rd for the receipt of public comments. The OCC is currently led by Brian Brooks, the former chief legal officer for crypto exchange Coinbase, on interim basis. All right, there is your news for the day. Some speculation, some fundamentals, and some speculations that may lead to fundamentals. So I have to tell you, this is the stuff I believe is important to watch daily, especially above price action, right? I mean, all of these things I believe is what will eventually bring us to price action. And it's the adoption of the XRP ledger use and the ILP. I believe that really once you move these ledgers in place and use them, you will then at that point have exactly what Greg Kidd had mentioned in the most recent DAI interview, which you should watch if you haven't, which is the use of a universal ledger that actually is able to facilitate the transactions of old in the fiat world and transactions of new. A universal ledger. That's what it's going to take. A trust layer for everyone to build on. All right. Everything runs on the ledger, at least at this house. That's how we see it. And that's where I'm going to leave it for today. Hit the like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. And please share this content with somebody you know. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.